couldn't bring myself to look at her as she hesitantly disrobed. The sound of her clothes rustling made me feel as though I was doing something incredibly improper. As much as I tried to feign calm, I was so tense my joints were practically creaking and my heart felt like it was being stepped on. I feel like I'm made of stone. I'm ready. You can turn around. Alright. I'll count to 10. She's laughing at me. I feel a whole lot better seeing you so nervous. I'm turning around. Okay. Her head was tilted down just enough to keep me from making out her expression, but she couldn't hide the pink flush spreading across her cheeks. It contrasted well against her white, but not excessively pale skin, as did her jet black hair. Sorry, it's not anything nicer to look at. In what way was this not a pleasant sight? I had never been more entranced by anything in my entire life. She was stunning. I had no measure of comparison, but I was certain the same sight of any other woman in the world would have not had the same effect on me. I could say as much with confidence, despite having never seen another woman nude. Hypnotized, I couldn't take my eyes off the gentle curves of her body. Were I more socially inclined, perhaps I could have told her she was pretty, which would have brought a sheepish smile to her face. And though I wanted to, my throat was dry as dust, and all I could manage to produce were incoherent rasps. Please, please say something. I'm hideous, aren't I? I'm unclean. You're not hideous. You mean it? I mean it. Why would you think so? Because You are not unclean, not in the slightest. You mean it? I do. Even seeing this. Giselle's eyes slid downward, a trace of fear lurking just beneath the surface. Following her head, I dropped my gaze to her lower body, and there I saw scars. Swollen, red and black gashes, still not healed after more than a year, defiled her white flesh. As she had described for me, the lines were arranged to form letters carved into her skin. So that's why she said I'd have to see them eventually. My instincts told me these were wounds she would carry for the rest of her life. I felt nauseous, heartbroken, infuriated, at the fact that the person who had done this was out of my reach, and the fact that I could do nothing for her. What went through my father's mind when he looked at these? What did he gain from giving her these wounds? Why did he have to do this to her? Why my father of all people? Giselle was the one with the scars. Giselle was the one in pain. But I felt like someone had shoved a handful of needles into my chest. Dozens of thick metal stakes piercing the walls of my heart, blood streaming through me like a river. If I didn't force myself to face it, I was liable to run. What was the right thing to say? What was I supposed to tell her? As hard as I thought, I couldn't come up with an answer. All I came up with was intense frustration. It killed me that I couldn't take these scars from her, that I couldn't give my father a piece of my mind. You are in no way hideous, no matter what marks are left on your body. It took all I had to form that single sentence. Thank goodness. I'm so glad to hear that. When I was down in the village, they said it didn't matter what they did to me because I was already dirty. That made me think I had reached the point where I was so tainted, anyone could see it. I'm sorry. Why should you apologize? You were frowning really intensely. I thought I might have made you mad. No, I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at my father, the villagers, and myself. May I touch them? You may. My hands were trembling, but I knew I wouldn't be doing her any favors by hesitating. As soon as my fingertips brushed her skin, she shuddered. Does it hurt? No, hasn't been any pain in some time. I could feel her trembling where I touched her. It didn't seem like it was going to subside anytime soon. Soon, she began whimpering softly. Her lips moved as though she were trying to say something, but the best she managed was a few strained gasps. Tears had begun welling up in her eyes as well. I feel like I'm in heaven right now, but I also kind of hate myself. Hate yourself? But why? Because I can't stop shaking. I'm overjoyed to feel your touch, but I can't control my body. I know you're nothing like that, but I keep seeing flashes of you doing other things in my mind. It kills me that my body won't react the way I feel in my heart. I was foolish to have ever thought these wounds might have healed. Just as scars remain on her body, so too do they remain in her heart. Unlike the physical wounds, though, the ones inside her still seem to be raw and bleeding. She just did a good job of acting normal that I'd begun to think that she might have gotten past them. Of course not, you blind fool. You shoved me back there because it brought back those memories. That's right. I'm sorry. I'm really, truly sorry. Why are you apologizing? I should be the one. Do you have any desire to place a curse on him? What? Do you want to curse Antonin? If you so desire, I might be able to make it happen. Cast a curse on him, perhaps even a fatal one. I ignore the fact that he's my father. I don't consider that man family anymore. I want you to be honest with me. If, hypothetically, such a thing were possible, would you want to curse him? No, I would not want that. Why not? You have every right to take revenge. For what the man did, he deserves punishment. He inflicted so much pain on you. You're still shaking more than a year later, and you can just let him get away with it? Out of the goodness of your heart, hypothetically, if you wanted to curse him, I wouldn't do it even hypothetically, and not out of the goodness of my heart. I'm just a coward. A coward. If curses were real, and he were to die by one, then I would never, ever be able to forget. If my resentment for him took his life, that would mean he had damaged me so permanently I was never able to get past it. I don't want that. I want to be able to forget. I'm still shaking now, but one day I want to proclaim proudly that it no longer has any control over me. But I appreciate the sentiment. Setting aside your choice of method, you asked out of concern, and that's more than enough for me. A soft smile spread across her lips, but all it inspired in me was powerlessness. She was putting on an act. Was the sentiment really more than enough? Of course not. Not when she was still trembling so much. But what was I to do? What was I, unable to leave this house and helpless against the will of the Bollingers, to do? I was incapable of assuaging her pain, wasn't I? I couldn't do anything. Could I? Before I throw in the towel, I need to take some real time to think. To stop running from the problem. To figure out a real way to give her what she wants. That doesn't involve curses and angry words. There has to be something only I can do. Giselle. I took the hand that had been tracing her scars and slid it around her waist. Even now, her trembling showed no signs of abating. I will never, the one thing I could do, hurt you again, was to wrap her trembling body in my arms. I want you here with me. All I ask of you for now is to be at my side. You can be scared and you can quiver, but please don't apologize for it. Please don't feel bad about it. I promise not to turn my head away from your pain. So I ask of you, try not to keep it buried. no power or influence. I don't know all the right things to say. I am a man with nothing to his name. But the one thing I do have is a heartfelt desire to do whatever I can for you. As soon as I tightened my grip around her waist, she lurched forward, throwing her arms around me. Muffled whimpers resonated against my shoulders where she had buried her head. Eventually, they grew into unfettered sobs, and my bedchamber was enveloped in the sound of weeping. She cried like a little child. The usually strong-willed, cheerful, optimistic Giselle wailed from the depths of her soul. This past year, she had been constantly nudging me forward. It was always her leading the way. There had undoubtedly been moments where she had wanted to cry like this, but couldn't. So starting now, I was going to try and support her too. I was sure I would mess something up, as I had little experience being caring. I would probably anger her, probably stress her out, and probably make her cry. But I had found my resolve. I had overcome my hesitation. I was sure I could do it. That I could create a place where she could find peace. I could surely. Giselle didn't stop crying until the sun had begun peeking over the horizon. I had, as I said, not looked away, simply holding her in silence. She had a decidedly not childlike frame, but she seemed incredibly small in my arms. We felt each other's warmth through my clothes. Between sniffles, Giselle said softly, "One day, I'm certain, I'll be able to, without hesitation, be properly joined with you, and it will be wonderful. Right now, I still can't control the shaking, but eventually, I want to be able to put my hands on you too." The affection infused in each and every word was palpable. Sometime later, she drifted off to sleep, exhausted. I prayed from the bottom of my heart that at least tonight she would have pleasant dreams. Morning? No, afternoon? Master? Good morning. Good morning. Oh, come on, put a little more oomph into it. Same Giselle as always. I must say, last night was something, Master. I didn't know you had that in you. Just thinking about it. Ow! Hey, that hurt. What was that for? I was struck with an insatiable urge to whack you. Whatever happened to your heartfelt desire to do whatever you can for me? I don't think hitting me counts. You're tough enough to get over a little bonk. You were being so nice yesterday. Where did that go? So, would you like to explain why you're making dirty jokes first thing in the morning? Yeah, I was trying to lighten the mood to hide my embarrassment. Fair enough. Alright, but could you not joke about that in the future? I didn't actually do anything to you. No, you didn't. Sorry. Say, could I ask you something? Yes. You hardly ever use my name. It makes us feel so distant. Could you do something about that, maybe? Babe? No, that is not you at all. Just go with my name, please. We've graduated from a master-servant relationship to a romantic relationship, but that is a bit much. Romantic relationship. Exactly, so, in honor of the new us, let's make this last, alright, Michel? Alright. At the time, the light that had entered our life seemed unreal and fantastical, but I prayed that it would indeed last. In hope of an equally bright future, I allowed myself to rejoice in the moment, letting the unconquered shadows that lurked in my peripheral remain unseen. Blackness consumes the once colorful space. Giselle still stands before me as she did within the door, but I struggle to reconcile the two scenes. They are both real. They are both her. The lively, spunky girl of the past and the lifeless girl of the present are both Giselle. As different as they seem, they are both her. Why don't we stop there? It was a wonderful story. They overcame their troubles and lived happily ever after. Is that not good enough? It could not be worse than where we are now. All we have to do, then, is erase the now. Throw everything away and start over from where it was better. You were able to bear them because they weren't your tragedies. And that goes for more than just me. Actually, as a matter of fact, those words apply even better to her than me. The ending is already set in stone. It's already happened. What point is there in watching it again? All that accomplishes is making me relive it all. The ending has not been written. We are both here now, which means our end still lies ahead of us. Then, can I ask you to promise not to let go of my hand, no matter what? No matter what happens, you mustn't let go of my hand. Now I understand. That was a request, even if she didn't perceive it as such. In place of a verbal response, I squeeze her hand in mine. I know where this tale is heading. Toward tragedy. All the other doors we visited ended in tragedy, and ours is no exception. But perhaps it's waiting at the end of this one is even more dire than I imagine. The door to our past swings open once more, behind which lies the end of me and the beginning of her. A month had passed since that night with the rose. Right on schedule, the monthly delivery arrived, but in it was a letter that would dramatically change our lives. My father, Antonine, had fallen ill and died. I presumed it was the witch's doing, but she was silent, refusing to respond to my questions. If it wasn't her, then he must have died naturally. It seemed more than a little tasteless to celebrate someone's death, but good taste and reality do not always agree. I was extremely relieved to hear the news. The man had raped Giselle. He had tried to kill me. And now, he was gone from this world. I had been waiting for this moment for years. His passing had another effect as well. My death could be revoked. Many years ago, my brothers had told me that when he succeeded our father, he would welcome me back to the Ballinger estate, and I could be part of the family once more. Which meant that this letter signaled the end of my banishment. Not sure how to feel about it? Yeah, rejoicing doesn't seem really appropriate. But this means you can return home now, right? In theory. My brother is set to take control of the estate, so he should be accommodating. I'm going to write a letter. Have them send us a carriage. It is much too long a distance to walk. Alright? I'm excited. What should we do when we first get back to the capital? I know. How about you stop by my place? My mom and sister won't believe their eyes. My time in this mansion was almost at its end. The future I had only vaguely envisioned was now within my reach. I had always spoken of this moment predicated with eventually, like it was some kind of unattainable fantasy. But now that it was practically a reality, I realized I hadn't actually given it much thought. still awake? I am. Not a great night for sleeping, huh? Are you thinking about your family? It all seems so surreal. Yeah, it does. This house is like a desert island cut off from the rest of the world, which makes everything feel kind of like a fairy tale sometimes. Even what we have. From time to time, I get the feeling that nothing is real. That the outside world is just a figment of my imagination. That my entire life only ever existed within these walls. Are you nervous? Maybe I am. I always thought that when this day arrived, it would be more cathartic. I'm sorry. I'm finally able to take you back to the capital, and I can't seem to get past my own negativity. It's only natural to be nervous. I am too. I haven't spent nearly as long as you living in this mansion, but I know how you feel because I feel the same way. Not knowing what the future holds. It's scary. You know, I was thinking, I would be okay with staying. I mean, I would love to return to the capital, and I miss my family dearly. But even if I never get to see them again, in no way would I consider myself unhappy. I honestly think I've got a pretty wonderful life. If you're not comfortable going back to that house, and you're just saying you'll endure it for me, Giselle, then there are other paths we can take. You could live with your family, or you could remain here in the mansion. Not at all, no, I want to. No matter where I go, you'll be there with me, Michel. It's true, I am nervous not knowing what the future holds, but not in a scared something bad might happen kind of way. It's more of a jittery, excited anxiousness. I'm confident the two of us can overcome anything, no matter what obstacles may come our way. Together, we can create an even more wonderful future. Don't worry, Michel. The future's nothing to be afraid of. You make it sound like I'm paralyzed with fear. But you are, aren't you? Hey now, don't give me that look. Once again, she's the one pushing me forward. I will make sure you have a good, happy life. Thank you. What? Nothing. I'm feeling kind of sentimental, thinking about how we've only got a little time left here. It wasn't perfect, but it was an important part of my life. Indeed. Say, yes. I think I could handle it right now, probably. It. Use your head, you little. I don't follow. How can you be so dense? I mean, you know, touching and so forth. You know, take the next step. I'm saying, I'm feeling up for that, right now. It's not proper for a woman to bring up that subject, is it? But I did kind of ask you to wait, and I feel bad leaving you on for so long. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're shaking. I'm just really emotional, that's all. You don't need to force yourself if you're not ready. I can wait as long as you need. Besides, never mind. It's fine. There's no need to rush things. You don't need to worry. Yeah. I wrote 2 letters, one to my brother and one to my mother. One so Giselle could return, and one so I could be myself. To demonstrate who I was, I had to prove that I was not cursed. For failing to do that would not only bring her grief, it might become the final crack in the identity I'd built up for myself. I had to convince her that I was neither demon nor angel, but a human who had fallen in love with a human woman. However, I was too foolish to realize that the future I envisioned was nothing but a fantasy. Had I been able to grasp that, then maybe I could have taken her somewhere far away, where no one knew who we were, where things might have turned out differently. It's been really foggy out lately. I'd rather if we left when it was clear. It would be terrible if the coachman rolled the carriage because he couldn't see where he was going. If there wasn't so much fog, I would probably have been able to see little columns of orange evening sunlight finding their way through the trees. But the milky white mist seemed to swallow up all the light, leaving nothing for the surrounding area. It was rather dreary weather. I wonder when they'll be here. Although, if they never do show up, that's okay too. I was finally able to return to the capital with Michel, to see my family again. And that was wonderful. It was like a dream come true. But it wouldn't disappoint me if it didn't end up happening. I didn't care where I ended up, as long as Michel was there with me. That's all that matters. I should probably close the windows. The coach isn't likely to show up at night, I don't think. I reached my hands out to shut a window, which is when I saw something wavering beyond the heavy mist. Light? And it wasn't just one. Looking closer revealed several more flickering spots. They moved up and down, slowly but rhythmically. As more and more came into view, my mind began seeing them as people carrying torches. They're coming this way? Could they be our escorts back to the capital? Though, what? As soon as the thought, there sure are a lot, popped in my head, something whizzed past my cheek. Huh? What was that? Why? What? It was an arrow. Giselle! What? The arrow had flown through the window and pierced the opposite wall. Had Michel not knocked me out of the way? Giselle, are you okay? I'm fine. But what's going on? Never mind that. Right now we need to run. Wait, Michel. Now, there's no time to talk. Stay out of sight of the windows. Got it. He grabbed my hand and broke into a run. A relentless storm of arrows showered through the windows we had worked so hard to get open a year ago. This wasn't what we had gone through all that effort for. Once I open the front door, run. We have to get as far from this house as quickly as we can. What was happening? Why did we have to run? Why were those people firing arrows at us? With the wave of questions came a wave of fear. I couldn't say anything. The sheer terror had frozen my jaw in place. Get ready. I nodded, squeezing his hand tight. I knew it would just be another obstacle to his safe escape, but I didn't want to let go of his hand. I was afraid that if I did, I would never be able to hold it again. Are you all right? I'm fine. But how? There are people out front too? Damn it, why? Several arrows were sticking out of the floor before us. Beyond the door, which Michel had managed to shut almost immediately, rang a cacophony of whoosh, thwump, whoosh, thwump. We can't escape? Why? What's going on? Damn it! With a deep scowl, Michel barred the door, and all the while the arrows kept flying. The panic in the air kept growing thicker. I don't understand. How did they... Only a handful of people even know about this place. This is all my fault. It's because I told the villagers about this place. They think a demon lives here, not a human. So they're here to tear down the house. They made weapons, bows, just for this. I don't... There was a deep rumble and the ground below us shook. I almost fell to the floor. They're trying to break down the door, it seems. Michel, I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. Because of what I did. No. What? It's not your fault, it's mine. Michel? I challenged her, and because I did, she made my curse real. What are you talking about, Michel? This way, run! Michel dragged me through the mansion's corridors until we reached the chamber with the stained glass window. At the far end of the room sat a small door. Where does it lead? I had been aware of the door's presence, but I had never gone inside it. Something about it seemed somewhat different than the rest of the house. I wasn't sure how to describe it exactly, but it felt like shadows had taken root here. The observation tower. A tower? But if we go up there, we're just putting ourselves in a corner. It doesn't matter where we go, they have us trapped. But there's a chance that up here... He didn't finish that thought, however. He opened the door, leading me into the tower. His face deathly pale. We started running again, around and around the spiral staircase, making our way toward the top. In regular intervals, along the wall were rectangular windows. A layer of fog still lay thick across the land. Peering out into it made me feel like we'd been thrown into a dream world. If it weren't for the orange spots of torchlight surrounding the mansion, the silhouettes holding the torches. Is that armor? Appeared to be knights. Michel, tell me, why do you think this is your fault? What is your curse? Your curse? It isn't just the color of your hair and eyes, is it? There's more to it, isn't there? There's something else, isn't there? Michel's gaze was firmly directed forward as he frantically led me up the stairs. We were breathing hard, and the sound of it echoed against the tower's stone walls. Our panicked hearts were beating so hard, I was afraid they might be able to hear it outside. Eventually, we made it to the top. A pile of discarded rope lay unceremoniously at the foot of a door, presumably once used to seal it shut. The door itself was deeply weathered and rotting in places. It had obviously been left sitting in disrepair even longer than Michel had lived there. What is this? Inside. Frigid air nipped at my skin, and it wasn't a pleasant, refreshing kind of cool, but a bitter, oppressive cold. This room felt like any other in the mansion. This is an observation tower? You can't even... There once would have been windows allowing you to see in all directions around the mansion, but all that remains now is that tiny opening near the ceiling. If we hide out here, then there's a chance they might not find us. It sounds like they broke down the door. Don't worry, they won't find us. And when they give up their search, then we can get out of here. I'm sure we'll all turn out alright. Michel's voice was quivering, as was his hand in mine. Michel. We huddled together, feeling each other's warmth in our arms. My free hand clenched his shirt for dear life. I'm sorry. What? I'm to blame for this. It's my fault you're in this mess. The pains you had to experience, and your being sent to this place, and what's happening now, can all be traced back to my being born. I'm so sorry. Why was he apologizing? Why did he insist that this was his fault? Why wouldn't he tell me what his curse was? Why were people trying to kill us? Right. Those people were trying to kill us. Putting it into words like that made the fear that much more real. The arrows they fired weren't threats. They meant to kill us. Michel. But with Michel trembling in my arms, I couldn't bring myself to ask those questions. What meaning would those answers even have with death lurking so close behind us? All I could do was pray. Pray that he was right, that they wouldn't find us, and we would be able to escape. However, over here, there's a door and stairs leading up. My hopes were shattered by the sounds of voices from below. I could hear a faint clanking of armor. Our grips on each other tightened, and our trembling intensified. Fear swelled within the tower, making us its slaves. Giselle. We were both terrified. And who wouldn't be? Fairy tale heroes could be magically courageous in the face of overwhelming danger, but they weren't real. The fear of my impending death, drawing nearer and nearer with each passing moment, almost drove me to madness. I couldn't think clearly. My heart was having trouble keeping up. My head was a big white mess. We were supposed to return to the capital, start a new life, finally obtain our happiness. It was right there at our fingertips. Enough happiness to make up for Michel's 10 years of isolation. And enough to erase that nightmare from my memory forever. What had we done to have that taken away from us? We just loved each other and wanted a quiet life together, nothing outrageous. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. What scared me the most was being separated from Michel. Michel? What are those people really doing here? If what they're after is money or valuables, we can offer them everything in the mansion. We don't need any of it. If they don't want us to return to the capital, we can tell them we'll stay here. They might be willing to talk it over. I don't care if I lose everything else. As long as I have you, I can survive anywhere. All that mattered was that we had our lives. So long as the two of us still breathed. But... death. Death to the unholy one. Death to the heretic. Death to the witch. Despair hung over us like the fog outside. There were no heretics, no witches, no unholy ones here. But they would probably never listen to us. The moment we stepped outside of this room, we would be dead no matter what we said. Michel, I'm all right. It's okay, Michel. I'm not scared. You're here with me after all. I'm fine. It's all fine. So please hold me until it's all over. Please stay with me. Finally, you speak. Michel? He wasn't looking at me, though. His unfocused eyes were directed upward, not toward any particular point, but wandering aimlessly. His purplish lips appeared to move as though he was speaking, but no sound came out. Michel? Are you all right? Come back to me, Michel. I grabbed him by the shoulders and shook, but he didn't even seem to notice. No matter how many times I called to him, he didn't look down from the emptiness above. Michel! Giselle. Finally, after far too long, his gaze slid down to meet mine. He looked defeated, exhausted, and cornered all at once. I was scared too, but his fear seemed to have consumed him entirely. Please, hear me out, Giselle. I never thought anything good would become of my life. I never thought I would find anyone who truly understood me, who would be happy to have my love. And for that, I hated the world. I was in constant torment, living in the shadows. But then, a single ray of light shone down on me. Michel? You, Giselle. You delivered me from the darkness. I'm scared, Giselle. I'm terrified. I used to think my life was meaningless, that it didn't matter if I lived or died. But now I can't stop shaking. That's perfectly normal. I'm scared to death too, but what scares me most is losing you. Michel. I should have noticed. Noticed his arms were tensing up. Noticed and stopped him. So please, allow me to repay you. I said I would do anything for you, so let me do this. I haven't given you anything. I haven't done anything for you. So give me one final chance. Michel. What are you doing? Get back in here, Michel. What? Why? The door. I can't open it. I shoved on the door, trying to go after him, but it wouldn't budge, even the slightest bit. It was as though there had never been a door there at all, merely a wall disguised as one. It wasn't someone holding it shut from the other side either. I pushed and I pulled with all my might, but I couldn't even manage to eke out the tiniest crack. Michel, Michel, what did you do to the door? Come on, get back in here. I don't want to lose you either. Say something, Michel. You're out there, aren't you? Please, please don't do anything rash. They're going to kill you if you're out there. Giselle, the witch told me. What? That she would ensure your safety. Michel, she isn't real. There is no witch talking to you. It's all in your head. A figment of your imagination created to alleviate your loneliness. Rest assured, she does not lie. Michel, please listen. You are a wonderful woman, Giselle. Spirited, true to yourself, deeply sympathetic. You are not to blame for how difficult your life has been. Most of the fault lies with me, and a bit of bad fortune. But that's all behind you now. Once this is over, you can start anew. What are you talking about? So survive, live a good, fulfilling life. Move past this, live your life, and always love your family. I know you can do it. That is my wish for you. No, I don't want that. I want to be with you. No one else but you. I don't want to let you die. There it is. Death to the heretic. Death to the heretic. Death to the heretic. Get back in here, Michel. Open the door. If my choice is to live without you, I'd rather... Your scars will heal. You'll find a nice man and have a wonderful family. Why? Thank you, Giselle, for bringing light to my world. Don't say that. But if there is a next life, I hope you don't mind if I pray that we're able to meet again. That we can find each other once more in another world. Michel. Michel. It is our holy duty as knights of the church to deliver punishment unto heathens who made a pact with the devil. Come on, Michel, open the door. You are sentenced to death, your body to be hanged upon the cross for 3 days and 3 nights, wherein your unholy flesh shall be purified by the fires of heaven. Why? What are you doing here? Open the door, Michel, please. Listen to me, you can hear me out there, can't you? You shall now be executed. Do you have any final words? Who is it you're sentencing to death? Michel Bollinger? A demon child, naturally. Or a witch, perhaps. Please, open the door. Why won't you open it? He isn't unholy or impure. He's a perfectly normal human being and a very sweet man. I'm the witch. The witch is in here. I'm the one you want to execute. Kill me. Execute me. Now I see, Giselle. This world. Kill him. So many blades pierced my flesh. A sword in my chest, lances in my arms and shoulders, arrows in both of my legs. I could hardly even tell what hurt anymore. There was an unpleasant hiss sound in the tower, almost like a heavy rain. It was the sound of my blood spilling onto stone. Red. It was red, just like anyone else's blood. It didn't flow into unnatural patterns. It didn't turn into dark, black, demonic shadows. It didn't cause anyone who touched it harm. It was just ordinary, red blood. Regardless, this body was probably still cursed. It had to be. I couldn't hear Giselle's voice anymore. I hoped she was safe and alive. I prayed that at least she would be protected, that the witch would keep her promise. It was getting dark. Light was quickly departing from my world. Darkness everlasting dragged me down into its pits. I believed in you. Michel? Michel, hey, say something. Talk to me. What's going on? What's going on in here? No, this can't be happening. An impossible, heavy thud came from beyond the door, and with it, Michel fell silent. Then, intermittent scratching sounds as something slid down the door. No, this can't be. Why? Why? I pounded on the door with all my strength, but still it refused to give. The skin on my hands eventually going raw and beginning to seep blood. Why? Why should Michel have to be killed? Tell me why. Take me with you. Please, don't leave me behind. That man isn't a witch. He isn't cursed. I'm cursed, not him. Don't hang him. Don't humiliate him like that. Kill me instead. Please. Again and again and again, I pounded on the door. But the self-described knights on the other side seemed to not even be aware of my presence. They seemed unable to hear my cries. Their armor clanking with each step, they began to descend the staircase. And with it, I could hear the sound of something being dragged slowly across the floor. No, don't take him away. Stop, don't take Michel away from me. I'm begging you. But my pleas were in vain. My hope was for naught. The knights took him away. Took him somewhere out of my reach. For all eternity. Don't take him away from me. Michel. After much too long, the door swung open all on its own. It happened so unceremoniously, it was hard to believe I had actually been trapped inside. I had no idea how much time had passed, but the chill in the air suggested it was deep into the night, and with the biting cold, there was the stench of blood. Why? Michel, I never wanted this. You didn't understand at all, Michel. You didn't know the depth of my feelings for you. You didn't know how intensely I wanted you. How fervently I loved you. I was never going to be able to find someone else and live happily with them. It had to be you. The thought of anyone else touching me terrified me. You just didn't understand. I don't want to live in this stupid world. The time I spent with you truly was the happiest time of my life. I remember everything now. You died on that day. You were killed. You disappeared from this world and left me behind. That's right. I remember. I remember the pain, the agony of death, and the fear. I did indeed die that day. You refused to listen to me. Do you have any idea how it felt to feel you dying From the other side of that door? Giselle. I wanted you to take me with you. Is this what you so wanted to see? My memories, the traces of my life on this earth, and there. In order to find your truth, we need more of the story. Very well then. If you want more story, I will tell you more. What comes next is both a continuation and a brand new tale. The Maid's Tale. When you've heard it all, I expect you to commend me for not forgetting how to smile. We haven't completely cut through the darkness yet. An arctic wind blows past me. At the same time, I'm gripped with an overwhelming urge to break down into tears. Perhaps this is the solitude she felt for so long. I have to face this. I have a responsibility to her to do so. And I have to atone for being such a misguided fool all those many years ago, convinced that what I was doing was best.